Hello and welcome to our afternoon reading sprints. So I'm doing this for the readathon. I am having a couple live reading sprints. This one is Friday afternoon, and then I'll have Saturday evening reading sprints tomorrow. And for this sprint, I'm going to be actually working on a little sewing project I have. So I was trying to replace the elastic in a pair of pajama pants, and I did it wrong. And the elastic didn't meet, so I need to tear this stitch out and then try a different method that I think is going to work better. And I'll be listening to an audiobook while I do this, because in my readathons, all reading counts. Audiobooks, graphic novels, physical books, whatever you're reading, it all counts for my readathon, because it is a laid back readathon where you just try to put the focus more on reading. Maybe try to read something if you've been putting something off or not reading as much as you'd like to recently. Then this is a good opportunity to just hey, let's just focus on reading for a little bit. Yeah, so if you are reading anything, let me know what you are reading. I'm going to mute myself because I need to cough a second. I had a cold and I'm 99% of the way better, but I have this lingering cough still, and that part really annoys me. So I'm going to be reading the book Hide, which I'm going to pull up because I don't remember who the author is. Give me 1 second. So I do have Hide out from my Libby app. It is Kiersten White. This is the book I will be reading for, or the audiobook I'll be listening to for the reading sprints today. This was one that was recommended to me by a coworker. A coworker read it and really enjoyed it. And from my understanding, it's basically like a really intense game of hide and seek, like a high stakes game of hide and seek. So the characters are offered money in a game show if they can hide in this amusement park for a set length of time. But people start showing up dead during the game, and our main character, she thought this would be easy money. She can hide and not get caught, and now she's worried that she's gonna show up dead because a lot of other contestants are. So yeah, high stakes game of hide and seek. So that is what I'm reading today while I just work on tearing out this stitch because I did it wrong the first time. I've actually not worked on these for a while, so this is kind of a good way to encourage me to both read and finish a sewing project I started previously, because I started this a while ago and then I just got busy and I was like, oh yeah, that's basically in my mending pile I'll get to eventually. And now it's okay, I have some time. I should go back and finish what I started. So if you are reading something, let me know what you're reading. If you are working on a project, or maybe you're doing productivity sprints and productivity is not reading, but it's something else. Maybe it's studying or cleaning or whatever. Just let me know. I'd love to chat with you. And with that, I will get into our first sprint here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the timer, and I will see you in a little bit. Okay, we are back, and the cat meowing startled me as it usually does. I should probably turn my volume down a little bit because it was quite loud. Um, so that is the end of our very first sprint. And I am, let's see, I don't know that this has chapters. This does not have chapters. So I am 9% into this audiobook. And I mean, I kind of already started it a little bit, but I'm still in the beginning of the book. It's still very much set up. And I already have mixed feelings about it. And I'm hoping they will like dissipate as we get into the story more. But I'm it's told with like an omniscient narrator, but like you don't realize that at first because we just follow our like main perspective for the first part of the book, and like as she's getting into the competition and all of that. But as soon as we meet like the other competitors, it suddenly goes into like omniscient narrator time, and we get to like see the thoughts of like all of the competitors and get to know a little bit of like their hopes and dreams and things. But it's also like super like rapid pace, back to back to back to back, which I've complained about this before a little bit whenever I've read books, particularly if they have like a lot of characters that they're introducing all at once. Then it's like, well, we want to introduce something about every single character immediately, and it's like it's too much for me to like care about the characters at all. There's like too much information too fast. Like I would prefer we follow a character for a while and then we switch characters and then we follow that character, and it's like you get to know this character and care about them, and then you switch characters, and it's like you get to know this other character and care about them, and then you switch characters and you get to know this character and care about them. So that way like you get to feel like you spend more time with the characters and can actually like care about them, other than this person wants to be a social media influencer, and this person is homeless and wants a job, and this person is wanting to start a business, and it's just like all of these things, and it's like, well, now I know like a little bit about all of them, but I don't care about any of them. So that was just like the introduction. I don't know how much that's going to continue throughout the competition. I kind of expected that we only had like one main perspective, so I found it interesting because I didn't know we were going to get perspectives from other characters. And that could be interesting, like in a deadly competition setting, to have characters like that, that you know like from multiple points of view, and not everyone can win because only one character can win. So yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling about it so far, I guess, is where I will leave that. I'm trying to think. I think this is more like a thriller story, and I don't read like a whole lot of them, so I'm just trying to think of like some of the other ones I've read, and how they handle things. So, yeah, so that's this story so far, and then I'll go on my sewing project. So I have the elastic completely unsewn from the pants now. And I know I had so the method I used was like I pinned it in a few key places. And then so I don't have a sewing machine, but the library has a sewing machine. So I went there and was like, okay, I'll sew it there. And I saw like there was this method you can do it. You pin it in pieces, and then you just like kind of stretch the elastic as you go, and you sew along like that. And obviously I didn't do it right, because like the elastic didn't meet at the end. So I'm kind of debating now. So there's like a couple other ways I could do it. I could just like sew this closed and then feed the elastic through. And I think that might be the easier method. The other one I'm pretty sure you can basically like sew it on the front and back and then on the sides, and you can do that by like, okay, so this is the halfway point, so we'd sew it that way, and then we would do it this way and then sew it on like the, I guess, like 4 points. And then you can like sew, I think you just sew the casing closed after that. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now because I haven't really done this before. And so I basically finished the part that I know that I was doing, which was just taking the seam out. And now I'm like, oh, now I have to actually try a different method. I don't know. I am thinking I'm just gonna like sew this down and then feed it through because I think that will be the easiest. I'm a little concerned that there's not a whole lot of, I'm a little concerned that my elastic's too wide, basically. Because there's not like a whole lot if I put it in here underneath. And I thought that was fine at first because I was just going to like sew the elastic in. But if I'm not sewing the elastic in, then I'm going to need more room. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. So I guess I have to figure that out before I continue sewing. So I'm kind of debating, I do have like other mending projects, and I'm kind of debating maybe I'll just like set this aside and work on other mending projects, which means I will have to go grab those. Because like I have a blanket that like the seam's just coming apart and like you can see the stuffing inside. So it's just gonna like re-sew the seam up. So maybe I'll work on that right now instead of this, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing with this before I continue on this project. So with that, I think we're gonna get back to sprinting, and I will go ahead and read a little bit more. I am actually debating if I continue with this book or if I go to a different audiobook that I have. So I have, what is the one I have out? It's the new Angeline Boulley book. So I actually read Warrior Girl Unearthed first, and then I recently read Firekeeper's Daughter, and I really enjoyed both of them. And the new one, Sisters in the Wind, is out, which honestly, I don't even know what Sisters in the Wind is about. I just know it's the new Angeline Boulley book. So then I'm like, yes, I want to read the new Angeline Boulley book. So I think I might actually start that one. My reading's a little bit chaos like this. I read a little bit of like, I read lots of books all at the same time, but sometimes a book will grab me and I'll be like, I have to finish this one. So I'm hoping one of these books will grab me. I have one that I'm reading right now that I'm really enjoying. It's called Terrestrial History. It's like a very literary science fiction, and I'm really enjoying that one. But I have the ebook for it, so it's not something that I can do a sewing project. Although I guess maybe I could just read an ebook for the next sprint instead of working on a sewing project. Maybe I'll do that actually. Okay, so for the next sprint, I'll listen to an ebook, or I'll read an ebook. I'll read Terrestrial History, and then we'll come back and I can tell you a little bit about Terrestrial History. I am really enjoying it. So with that, let's go into the next sprint, and then I can decide later what sewing projects I work on. So let me get Pomodoro Kitty ready again. Hang on. I don't know. I thought you could change. I want to do like a 30-minute sprint. There we go. Okay, I will bring Pomodoro Kitty back and we will sprint again. I do have the ebook on my phone, so I will be looking at my phone the entire time. But I'm going to be reading. I'm not going to be scrolling. So let's start the sprint. every time the cat meows. It disturbs me. Um, Also, oh no, am I even close to the end of this chapter? My goodness. No, I'm not. Okay. No, I'm most of the way through the chapter. It's just um it's so tense. It's like you feel like you're in the room with them. And they're trying in this chapter, they're trying this fusion reactor. And it goes on for pages and pages about just like how they hope it works, but they're not sure if it's going to work. And like one of the people that's working on the reactor is nervous, and then she's trying to like let out nerves the night before by just like swimming laps in this pool. And like it's like the language, particularly at that point, is like a little repetitive because it's like also giving the feeling of like our main character or our narrator at this point in the story is doing this like repetitive thing to intentionally like exhaust herself so that way she sleeps overnight, because she's nervous about the reactor. um, and then the next day, just like the people coming in to watch, like, is this going to work? And just the tension of it, the building, it just goes on for pages. And I kind of love it. Anyway, so this is Terrestrial History. We're following four characters, and we're following like different timelines. It's a non-linear story. So, and at least three of the characters are related to each other. I haven't figured out because I think the fourth one is, but I haven't figured out how the fourth person's related. Um, and we're following like, so we're following Hannah in, I would say, present day. And Hannah's the person we start the story with. And I loved the start of the story because at the start of the story, Hannah talks about how this man rose up out of the sea and just like walked onto the shore and started talking to her. And then she's like, okay, wait, we have to take a step back. I'm not someone who believes in the supernatural. I always think there's a naturalistic explanation for things. Like she goes into this like rambly thing about that. And then she's like, so if I would have told myself this story previously, I would not have believed me. So I understand if you don't believe me. But anyway, back to the guy that came out of the sea. Like that's how the story starts. Um, and then we jump ahead. I think I don't know how many years because it doesn't give us a date for Hannah, but we jump ahead to like 2057. And so, since the book came out this year, so we'll call this present day. So it's 2025. And then 2057 is Hannah's son is grown up, and it's basically like following Hannah's son's life. And it's really interesting because like in the perspective from Hannah, we get to like know more about her and her hopes and dreams and fears and where she is in life. And then we jump forward to the son's perspective, and the son has a different perspective on his mom than we got from the first chapter. Now, the son's perspective is also like decades into the future, at least 2 decades, I would say, into the future. Um, so it's also possible that Hannah changed during that time. Um, but it's also possible that the son just has like a different perspective on Hannah. And then we get another jump into the future. And this one is like our farthest jump into the future. And I don't remember what year it was. Um, I want to say it was like 2117 or something like that. Um, we get a pretty big jump into the future, and we're following a boy who's growing up on Mars. And he's the one that I'm not sure how he relates to the other characters yet. Or if he relates to the other characters. And we also haven't gotten like any name drops in that chapter that made me realize who he is, because like Hannah's son doesn't call Hannah Hannah. Hannah's son calls her mom. So, but we know that Hannah's son's name is Andrew, and we also know like there was a family dog, and I don't remember the name of the dog right now, but like in the story, like Andrew thinks about like the dog he had growing up and it's named the same. And then he thinks about his mom and we like put the pieces together, you know? Um, Andrew also has a child named Kenzie. And then, so after we follow the guy on Mars for a while. He is like he's among the first set of children that are growing up on Mars. So, like, adults went to Mars, and then they have what they call the Great Generation Gap because, like, the adults went to Mars and like started building a colony there, but and didn't have children right away. And then, so our character we're following is Robin, and then Robin is like among like the first children that are growing up on Mars, and it's kind of interesting because Robin talks about how like his mom thinks that he's growing up too fast and not playing games and doing the activities that children do. And I'm kind of curious because I feel like it's leaning into the like your surroundings, your uh, uh I guess it's a little bit of like the nature versus nurture debate, which like, humans are both. Like humans are like our actions and who we are comprised of like both our nature and nurture. But like I guess it's kind of leaning into like the nurture aspect of like things are different on Mars, so then the kids would act different too. Um, and I don't know, I have to think about that one a little bit because, like, I don't know for sure if, like, the kids would, like, grow up faster. I don't know. Like, I mean, I do agree that there's a lot, like, our environment impacts us a lot, but I guess it depends, like, how much it leans into that further in the story. And then our 3rd character or our 4th character we're following, so then we jump back to, like, I don't know what year this one was, like, 2070 something. Um, and it's Kenzie as an adult, um, working on this fusion reactor. And so that's the chapter I was just reading was from Kenzie's perspective. So, we also have like Kenzie talking like a little bit about her granny, because she's basically like, working on. So, one of the lines in this chapter that I read was like, basically Kenzie's dad is like, you're like saying that Kenzie is way too serious. And Kenzie is like, well, I didn't ask to be born during the apocalypse or to grow up during the apocalypse. Like, what do you expect? Um, and basically, they're trying to work on things so that way Earth remains inhabitable. Because part of the reason, like they're in Kenzie's perspective, especially they're talking about like traveling to Mars or colonizing Mars because like Earth isn't going to be habitable much longer. Um, and then they also talk. So I'm not sure if like Andrew and Kenzie know about the man who visited Hannah because and I'm sure we'll get more of this as like the perspectives continue because they talk about like Kenzie particularly talked about like how people treated her granny like her granny was crazy because her granny had this idea. And I don't know if it was like a reactor or a fusion reactor thing, but she had this idea for like something that could like help save the planet in the future. And basically, everyone thought she was crazy and didn't actually give her funding and all of the stuff that she needed. And even like Hannah's son basically sees like the mom's project as a failed project. So I'm just kind of like interested to see how all of this ties in together. But I'm really enjoying the writing. And yeah, I'm still very early in the story, but it's really captured my imagination. Like this was one like from the beginning that I was just like, oh, I want to know where this goes. So that is terrestrial history. um, and I do think I am gonna go now because I have stuff I need to do today. I have responsibilities and I need to work on my responsibilities and not just read books and talk about books, but I have really enjoyed taking time to read books and talk about books. I'll post my page count, so I'll add up the pages and I will post that in the Discord for the readathon. And then probably Saturday before I do this, I'll like add up the pages and then show like how many pages we've read so far for the readathon for the Saturday sprint. So I look forward to seeing you on a Saturday. And until next time, happy reading. And if you're catching the stream now, you can go ahead and tell me about the books you are reading in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.